Hello everybody, my name is Sage, and today I'm going to tell you about the strangest cryptids I could find from each state in the US. America is a huge country and has so many types of ecosystems and environments that basically anything could find somewhere to live out here. We've got mountains, deserts, forests, tundra, and even rainforests somehow. So without delaying any longer, let's get into it. I'm going to be going through each state in alphabetical order and giving an overview of the strangest cryptid I could find from each one. So, I've literally never heard of this one before doing research for this video, but it fits the weird criteria very well. The Alabama Metal Man was a creature spotted in a rural town called Falkville in the 1970s. A woman called the police at 10 p.m. claiming that a spaceship had landed in a field just outside town. The chief of police in Falkville, Jeff Greenhaw, was sent to investigate. There was apparently no ship, rather an upright bipedal creature that Greenhaw described as, quote, real bright. Something like rubbing mercury on nickel. He also said it looked like his head and neck were kind of made together, whatever that means. Kind of makes me picture like a Cyberman from Doctor Who or something. When Chief Greenhaw pointed his headlights at the creature, it started running away. He followed it in his car at speeds up to 35 miles per hour, but it was still too fast to catch up to. Apparently it was never spotted again, and neither was the ship it allegedly arrived in. So if you live in Alabama, keep your eye out for a weird Metal Mario looking guy. In some accounts of this story that I could find, it said that he brought his Polaroid camera with him and captured this picture of the creature, so make of that what you will. I couldn't find many actual cryptids for Alaska, mostly stories of creatures from Native American folklore, but I did find some very funny stories about people seeing giant birds. So in 2002, many people began reporting sightings of giant birds to the local news. One man, Moses, however you say that, recalls working on his tractor when he looked up and saw what he thought was an otter plane, a type of old single-engine plane common at the time, until it turned, revealing its bird-like silhouette. Another man, John Booker, provided this wonderful quote about the phenomenon. There's this big bird. He's really, really big. You wouldn't want to have your children out. Giant birds are a fairly common type of supernatural sighting, but the reason I chose this example for Alaska is because of the ridiculous quotes from these guys. Like, they're just so matter-of-fact. I just went, yep, there was this bird, and it was real big. Not much else to say about it. One of the stranger Arizonan cryptids is also one of its best known. Mogollon Rim is a roughly 200-mile long canyon in the northern part of Arizona. It's a massive formation covered in forests, with plenty of nooks, crannies, and difficult terrain for creatures to hide in. One such creature is the Mogollon Monster. First spotted in 1903 drinking the blood of a mountain lion, the monster is a large bipedal creature similar in description to Bigfoot, but with gray hair and a long beard. And while sane people would probably just call it Bigfoot, some hikers insist that it's actually a troll that makes pig-like noises and threatens people with a wooden club. And when you look up pictures of the Mogollon Monster, this is the image that comes up, and I think that's really funny. Among Arkansas's many claims to fame, hillbillies, Walmart, Bill Clinton, and small towns with funny names, according to Google, is the Gauro, a species of 20-foot lizard that hide in cave systems in the northern part of the state. These things have been reported as far back as the 1890s, when a man allegedly killed one and sent its remains to the Smithsonian. It's worth noting that there are 0 actual records of this, and I think the fucking Smithsonian would be pretty eager to show off a creature like this if it was real. I did track down a page of the local newspaper reporting the event, but the picture included doesn't really give the story any extra credibility. It's got a weird boar-like head and what looks like, but probably isn't, a flamingo for a tail. In the state of California, there lives an elusive creature that is rarely seen, but it is said that its terrified screams from playing silly horror games can be heard from miles around. Alright, but in all seriousness, this might be the most insane one I've managed to find. The original source for this story had such little info that I thought the account would be completely made up, but I did manage to find some actual details. Genuinely, the first source I found didn't have a year, location, or like the actual name of the person who reported it. With all that aside, let's talk about this gnome. In 2004, a woman named Tammy Thomas and her 3 kids moved to Porterville, California. She describes the feeling of being watched from the very moment they arrive, and a particular sense of unease around the barn on the property. One afternoon, after coming back from grocery shopping, Tammy saw something move in the corner of her eye and heard a strange, creepy chuckle. She looked in the direction of the sound and, I'm quoting now, saw what she could only describe as a gnome. This gnome was 2 to 3 feet tall, wearing a gold shirt and a red pointy hat. So we're talking straight up garden gnome here. This terrified her for some reason, so she ran inside. While hiding, she looked out the window and saw the point of its stupid little hat moving around at the bottom of the window. And the mental image of this is incredibly funny to me. She goes on to say that she never saw the gnome again after this, but would occasionally still hear its weird little laugh from the barn, and that they just kind of live in fear now. So that's fun. I also have a suspicion that this story may be the inspiration for that one Gravity Falls episode, but I have no proof of that. Miners and lumberjacks of 1800s Colorado would often talk of giant whales that could be found clinging to the sides of mountains. They called them slide rock bolters, and they reportedly ate any creature that came within their reach. The whales would attach themselves to the mountainsides with their tails, which had giant hooks on the end to keep them in place. They'd also apparently let go and slide down the mountains to get at prey that was out of reach, which is pretty scary to imagine, as long as you ignore the logistics of them getting back up. That, and also lumberjacks and miners of the time had a reputation for making up weird creatures just to scare people during westward expansion. This includes things like the jackalope, the hide-behind, and things like that.
Connecticut!
Ah, yes, the state that everyone forgets is a state. I honestly thought there wouldn't be any notable cryptids here, but that was before I learned about the Melon Heads. Small humanoids found in backwater areas of the state that have a taste for blood. There are a few claims about their origin, everything from being the children of witches to the product of inbreeding rednecks. They have large, misshapen heads and bulbous eyes, and will attack anyone who enters their territory. So maybe drive a little faster on those back roads. But hey, with recent news, maybe they're those aliens that they found in Peru or whatever. Delaware is even smaller than Connecticut, and stories of weird creatures are even more sparse, so I'll go over a couple of small ones I found. I found a thread online asking Delaware residents if they've seen anything in the vein of cryptids or weird creatures, and a relatively common answer was people seeing strange things in the sky, like multiple accounts of UFO sightings. I found another story from Blackbird Forest in the same thread, with multiple corroborators confirming that Blackbird is in fact weird. Like all good stories, this one begins with a group of friends driving into the woods to smoke some weed. Eventually, they start hearing footsteps around them, in all directions, and they're getting closer. When they turn on the headlights of the car, they were surrounded by people similar in description to the men in black. But the fact that there were so many of them makes me picture like Agent Smith from The Matrix. This group didn't discuss it again for years, but when they did, they all confirmed that they saw the same thing. Despite maybe being the single most infamous state in the US, I was let down by Florida's selection of cryptids. Everyone's heard of the skunk ape, and reports of living dinosaurs are pretty stupid, even though I admit they probably would be in Florida, if they are anywhere. There is one that I find pretty funny though, and that's the St. Augustine monster. Strange blob-like carcasses washing up on the shores of beaches is a weirdly common thing in history, so much so that they have their own name. Globsters. I wouldn't even mention these if it weren't for one account I read in a book called Chasing American Monsters while researching. A bloated, blobby corpse of a deceased creature washed up on the shores of St. Augustine in the 1890s and mystified the people of the time. Modern analysis has proven this to be the remains of a dead sperm whale, as always. However, this book goes on to say that, quote, no one knows for sure what the St. Augustine monster was. Yeah, we do. It may be Cthulhu. And that's the kind of insanity I'm here for. Originally, I was going to talk about Hogzilla for the Georgia segment, an alleged 12-foot-long, 800-pound hog that was hunted in Alapaha in 2004, but that turned out to be real. So instead I'll tell you about the beaver shark, a small but dangerous creature that has been spotted in Pine Mountain. Some say that it has the head of a beaver and the body of a shark, yet others say it has the head of a shark and the body of a beaver. While it usually keeps to itself and only eats fish or turtles in deep water, many local summer camps use the creature as a warning for kids to stay within safe water, or else they'll be bitten by the beaver shark. There are also these really cool, totally real pictures of it online. So, that's 10 states down and only 40 more to go. This has kind of been a test with scripted content, since I don't want to do just gameplay videos forever, so hopefully you enjoyed. The next part of this will probably have more than 10 so that this doesn't end up being like a 5-part series. And I'd also like to say thank you if you've made it this far and listened to me ramble about stupid creatures for however long this ends up being. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've been talking for a while, so I think I'll step outside and take a walk. Oh, right. I forgot I was stuck in here. Well, I guess I'll see you later.